I looked above and I saw a sky that was boundless and perfectly blue. So I decided to open up the law on my thoughts, and in a flash, my whole world was changing, evolving into something new. That precious moment will always be here in my heart.
Hello you guys, welcome back to the Hall of Anime. My name is Dawson, and today we will be doing a series review, a manga series review for The World God Only Knows. Okay, so, start it off. So I'm just gonna, for this review, talk a little bit about the beginning of the story and a couple of the arcs in the story, and then I'll kind of, at the end, give a little spoiler warning, and I'll talk about the ending of the manga. Okay. So let's just start. So basically, for any of you guys who are just thinking about maybe reading The World God Only Knows, The World God Only Knows is meant for those people who like romance with a little touch of supernatural. There's a couple other things in there, but it's mainly romance, supernatural. And basically how the story works is we have our main character Keima Katsuragi, and basically he plays dating sims on his PFP, on anything that he can get his hands on, basically, all day, all night, and he technically has centered himself out from the rest of the world. He thinks of himself as a god in the realm of conquering women, basically, but he has no thought for women, real women, only ones in games. Anyway, one day while Keima's gaming, he gets an email, and he's always getting emails from fans and sending emails back, talking about his conquests and how they can conquer certain sims and things like that. And one day he gets an email that suspiciously says, "Hello, I hear that you're the god of conquest, and if you can conquest anyone, I have the girl for you." So he takes it thinking it's a challenge, and when he takes it thinking it might be a challenge, and signs his name, clicks the OK button, and all of a sudden the sky turns pink, and somebody flies down, and that is the girl named Elsie. And basically, from there on out, what happens is Keima turns into this kind of person contracted with Elsie, the demon from hell, and they both have to go around capturing loose souls. Loose souls are demons that hide themselves away inside of girls, and they hide themselves away by finding the open space in their heart, where obviously love, joy, things like that should be, and they implant themselves there. And sometimes that can also lead to different effects of supernatural being with some of the people, as in, for say, one of the girls, let me think here quick, one of the girls turns invisible and people stop noticing her. One of the girls, in one arc, one of the girls makes Keima and her switch bodies, and then there are just all these weird supernatural elements that come into play, and basically, basically it ends up being really good. Anyway, the first two seasons of the show are basically about that. It's about Keima getting to know Elsie more, getting to know girls, conquering them, forcing the demons out. First two seasons, why did I say that? First two arcs, or the first big main arc, actually I should say. The Conquest arc, I'll call it. And then we get into the more of the second arc of the show, or of the manga. I'm sorry if I'm saying show a lot. I did a review a long while ago for The God Only Knows, the anime, for the first three seasons, and definitely worth checking out if you don't like manga that much. I definitely recommend going to check that one out instead. But the manga is slightly better, mainly just because it goes into the fourth, or the final arc, third arc, and the anime isn't there yet. But anyway, back to the topic. First arc is basically all about Keima doing that conquest. It's a lot. some of the, if you're thinking about reading the manga or watching the anime over the manga, one reason why you might want to read the manga is just because they do have, there are about 7 conquests that get skipped over from the anime. There's about 14 in total, so they skip over about half of them just kind of for time restraints and things like that. It doesn't hurt the story, but it is definitely worth the read to read those other couple. Anyway, then we have the second arc, where kind of like the different part begins. It's called the Goddess arc, and basically, inside of a ton of the girls that Kame has conquered, instead of having demons inside of them, they end up with goddesses inside of them. And all of these goddesses he has to go through, basically, and he has to make all the girls that have already fallen in love with him re-fall in love with him so that he can help the goddesses, basically. But the problem is that once the goddesses have entered the girls, all the memory blockage, because every time that Kama clears a girl, their memory gets blocked and they can't remember him. All the memory blockage that they had is then cleared, and they remember everything about all their conquests, basically. Anyway, yeah, that arc was a really, really good, well done one. I have to give it to the writer. I can't remember his name, and I can't look it up quickly. I tried doing this review before, and the audio and stuff got all screwed up, but I think that I'm going to keep this one a little bit, you know, shorter than that one. So, we're all good. Anyway. Yeah, no, it was really well done. Had a really, really good story. And it's an amazing arc. Anyway. Now for the third arc, and the final arc of The World God Only Knows. What did I think about it? I thought that it was really good. It basically takes place right after the Goddess arc, and basically all the goddesses send Kama back in time, and it's not the type of back in time where you go back in time completely. It's the type where it switches your mind, so he switches his mind from his 17-year-old body and a 7-year-old body with each other. So his 7-year-old mind goes to current time, and his 17-year-old mind goes to past. And basically through that, you start to find out a lot of twists and turns in the series. You start to find out who different people are that you've seen in the second arc, and you start to everything starts to make sense to you. Now, I'm not going to discuss the rest of it right now, but I will discuss that in the second half, but first I'm going to give a rating, and if I think that you should watch this, or read, whatever you want to say. Rating, 9.5 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10. I can stick with that one. I can stick with that one perfectly fine, because this series deserves a 9.5 out of 10. It was just so well done, and the writing was really good. There were the only problem was some of those. The only reason why I'm taking 5 points off really is because some of those girl conquerings weren't that good, or not as good as I wanted them to be. But anyway, 9.5 out of 10, definitely. It is a worthy series to watch. Anyway, at this point, I definitely recommend you guys to go read it and figure out what happens. I'm not going to give away the ending just yet. And if you don't care, or if you're going to go read it, then go read it, and then you can come back after a couple hundred chapters and you can recheck this one out. But anyway, yeah, go read it. 9.5 out of 10. Okay, at this point in time, I am going to be putting a spoilers warning up on screen. If you do not want to hear anything that is going to ruin the story for you, or anything along the lines of the end, do not listen past here. Okay, so now we can get into it. Okay, so the ending. Oh my gosh. I loved the ending for this. Personally now, I watched The World God Only Knows like a year ago, or a year and a half ago, the original anime, and I got up to season 1 I passed, and I was like, oh, this was really good. A couple months later, I found season 2 dubbed. And then about a month later, I looked, and season 3, I watched it subbed, and then recently season 3 was dubbed again, or was dubbed, and so I'm rewatching it kind of slowly. Anyway, the series, altogether, Now, let's just think. I've seen so many bonds be built with all these people, and I'm so happy that in the last arc at the end, you get to watch everything get wrapped up. I love, love, love how they tied in fucking Dakuro, his teacher with the ball chain necklace ended up being one of the people that he meets in the past arc. I was thinking that was gonna happen. Once I saw Dakuro jumping off the sail and stuff, and it actually went to a close-up of her face, she had the dark hair, long, short hair, and I was thinking, you know what? This girl looks like she could be it. So I was thinking that it might be, and I'm so happy that that's what it was, because this really made for a lot of amazing twists and turns. Tenri knowing that Keima and everything, knowing that Keima was from the future, everyone, it was really different. It was really amazing. I really love how Tenri and Dakuro both knew that Keima was going to go to the future before Keima even knew, because they had already met him in the past, but they just didn't tell him anything. It was amazing. And then, oh my gosh, one of my favorite parts was when Keima was sitting there and he was being brought back to the present, and all of a sudden, you know, he wakes, or he gets to the present, but then he gets knocked out, blah blah blah, and he wakes up in kind of like the realm, and he's alone there with Elsie, and Elsie's just kind of like, oh, how you doing, Oni-chan, I made you lunch, or dinner, or whatever, and it's a big feast, and they both sit down at this table, and they're eating food, and Elsie's basically just talking about how their contract is over, and Keima's like, okay, Elsie, I guess this is goodbye, and then Elsie asks him, she whispers in his ear, but I'm guessing that what she was asking is, can I do what I want now? Things like that. And she basically just jumps on him, gives him a big hug, and then that's the end of the dream. And then Keima wakes up the next morning, and Elsie's there again. And he's kind of wondering, I finished the contract, you should be gone, but then he realized he gave her the power to do whatever she wanted, and she told him that what she wanted was to be part of their family, and she basically rebirthed herself into their family from birth. So Elsie and Keima have been brother and sister since they were kids. That was a really just heart-touching moment to show how much character bonds can grow. And you can definitely tell that throughout the series, Keima has come to accept Elsie as if she's part of the family. And I'm just so happy that they did not have to part, because seriously, Elsie deserves a good family. And after talking about how she actually doesn't have a family, her big sister doesn't exist, her big sister is just a sister role model, more like. It was really, really heart touching that he did that. Anyway, yeah, definitely though, that might have been my favorite moment from the ending. It really was beautiful. Anyway, and then we finally have Waifu War. Who won? Who won? Now, Tenri was probably the best candidate because she's known Keima for so long, and they kind of spent a lot of intimate time together, especially in the last arc. But what ended up happening was Keima thought that he was kind of, by putting a goddess inside of her, he kind of thought that, you know, he was forcing Tenri to like him. And he didn't like that idea, so he gave up on her. He basically wrote her that letter, and when she opened the third letter, the one that she couldn't read until he got back from the future, or past, it said that, I feel like I basically held you down. And that was, Tenri was a little bit sad, but at the same time she understood exactly what Keima said, because if Keima would have never showed up and put a goddess in her, Tenri may have ended up loving someone else completely different. And that was pretty damn, that was a pretty damn nice way to put it, at least. At least she didn't end up just bawling her eyes out and crying. She cried a little bit, but she never ended up, you know, like, in tears, completely destroyed. She kind of was suspecting it. And finally, on to who Keima picked. I don't know whether I want to be happy or not, because I was kind of thinking that this was going to happen ever since the end of the Goddess arc, but he picks Chihiro. And Chihiro is one of the chicks that he thought had a goddess in them. She's the chick that he thought had a goddess, but she didn't, and she remembered everything from it, and he was just really confused, and he was... it was nice to see that Chihiro won. She was the only girl that he hadn't tampered with that actually liked Keima for just being himself, and Keima actually... I found it really nice that Keima ended up picking her. I like that Keima actually got some emotions in the end of this whole entire thing, and it was just a really good way to end it, personally, because I was thinking that Keima would eventually get, because you could definitely tell throughout the last arc, and even the Goddess arc, that he was getting emotional attachments to people, actually, and he was starting to treat it more like real life, and it was just a really great experience to watch Keima grow, in general, to what he was, to what he became. Anyway, again, full review of the end. I give the end of the series, the last arc, 10 out of 10, just for being so enjoyable, different, giving a different approach to it, being just that much cooler. And I didn't really get a chance to talk about what happens completely in the last arc, but, you know, you got the brief discussion. Anyway, I can't recommend this series enough. And last arc gets a 10 out of 10. First arc gets it's literally a 9 out of 10, and second arc, Goddess arc, gets probably a 10 out of 10. So the only way or place where the 9 comes in, 9 or the half comes in, is from the first arc, but it's worth the read. If you like romance manga, romance, or it's also comedy, I can't believe I missed that, go read it now, because you won't be upset. Anyway, that was my manga review for The World God Only Knows. My name was Dawson, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Someday, when I'm gone, don't think that I'd neglect you.